Welcome back to Hollywood versus Cleveland, salty movie and media reviews. I'm your host, Steve Wright, and I'm from Hollywood. And I'm joined, as always, by my buddy, John Malloy, who is joining us from Cleveland. How's it going, John?
It's great.
It's really great to hear, man. That's fucking fantastic. John, you'll be happy to learn that, dude, we have our first review in for the show. We have a listener named Ken who writes in, enjoyed your chat on The Thing, Cleveland won. Now, I think the fourth exclamation point is a little bit of a punch in the gut, but all good. We appreciate you listening, Ken. Today, John and I are going to discuss the movie Logan, directed by James Mangold and written by Scott Frank and Michael Green, who also has a writing credit on the movie Blade Runner 2049. So I thought that was pretty cool. Scott Frank wrote Get Shorty. He created The Queen's Gambit and also wrote Minority Report. I actually briefly met Scott Frank, John, at the American Film Institute. He was like a guest lecturer. And I remember one thing he said about writing, if you find yourself cleaning out the cabinets and dusting the bookshelves, that's more about not writing than writing. Right. And I remember thinking, no, bookshelves need to be dusted before I write. You know, obviously there's a line there, but I kind of need my shit tight before gold comes showering out of these bad boys. James Mangold, of course, the director of many films, including Copland, Ford versus Ferrari, 3:10 to Yuma, The Wolverine, and he's going to be the director, or is the director of the new Indiana Jones movie coming out this summer, The Dial of Destiny. So Logan, John, you picked this movie for us to review. It strikes a personal chord with you, and I've always been a big X-Men and Wolverine fan. I used to collect the comic books, and I actually owned X-Men #1 as a kid, and ended up selling it to buy a camera to make my first movie, Shock Therapy TV, the movie. But yes, Uncanny X-Men #1 is my rosebud. Rosebud. It's the one thing I can never have again. Reminds me of my childhood. So when I'm dying totally alone, I'll be like, Uncanny X-Men #1. Movie tone. Let's talk about it, bub. So, dude, one quick mention of tone with Logan. One of the reasons I love the movie so much is the tone. It's got this gritty, grounded, realistic tone. It's a superhero movie, but it's still small. It's more character driven. And while the action sequences are killer, they're smaller compared to like an Avengers movie where they're having this huge war in downtown Manhattan against 1,000 aliens and there's 1,000 things flying around the screen. The Star Wars equivalent would be Rogue One. Rogue One was gritty, real, smaller.
I'll never climb out of here, my arm!
Get out of the way! Oh!
Calm down. We'll be all right.
Boom. Yeah.
Awesome. And the second that happened, I was like, yes. This is my world. This is my tone. This is real. These plans are worth more than this guy's life. It's brutal and real and dark.
Rogue One, they're a little more of the dirty side, like street level kind of life in Star Wars world, rather than the lightsabers and the good versus evil thing happening. It's not a kid's show with Ewoks.
Right.
And then, Logan, it's different from these other superhero movies where there's some sort of naive happiness that glides through a lot of these superhero movies that this movie just doesn't care to deal with. It just wants to get into like the dirty stuff about what life is like.
I always thought we were part of God's plan. Maybe we were God's mistake.
So yes, I love the tone of Rogue One. I love the tone of Logan. And again, you chose it because you feel this personal connection to it. And why don't you kick it off and talk about sort of your take on the movie? Logan, a movie about family, bub.
Well, some of the themes are stronger than the other ones. First theme, I suppose, would be just about Wolverine and who he is and what he becomes. The second theme, I think, is a theme about family. And when I first watched the movie, I was sort of detecting it as a parenting theme. And I think that's what resonated with me as a parent, like just the struggles of raising a kid. And then also on the other side of that, being a child of somebody. So Laura kind of represents a daughter to him, and Professor X is his dad in a way, in a symbolic way. And it's, it's someone middle-aged. You might have someone on either side of you like that. And what it's like to experience both of those things. Professor X is like this father figure in a way that has sort of been moved into a home at this point.
What are these?
You remember what they are? The shots? No, the seizures. The pills keep them from happening.
He's lost some of his mental faculties. So it's no longer like he's raising him as so much as trying to guide him and give him words of wisdom, but he needs to be more taken care of than actually being a parent. And then, Logan, who's not the kind of guy who does take care of other people, is stuck with this Laura at some point, and he's basically taking care of her. And, technically, she's, from a DNA perspective, she's his daughter. I think Professor X even says that to him.
North Dakota, you took that woman's money. You said you would take the child there.
What is she?
She's your daughter, Logan.
There's also an interesting scene in the gas station where they stop. Laura's like stealing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And the store clerk comes out and he's like, where are your parents?
Mm-hmm.
And her reaction is to just attack and kill. And Logan comes in and has to be like, that's not how we do.
Yeah.
Come on. That's enough. These two.
Not okay.
But the funny thing is that he like steals a bunch of shit anyway and leaves the store.
Right.
So he is, they're more alike than he's trying to teach her something, and then he's like, do you have any charges? So those themes are very, very clear.
Come on, give me talk.
But as the movie goes on, and after I watched it a second time, I think the theme is more like family than just parenting, because they eventually land with the Munson family, and there's this obvious contrast between the way that those three are living their lives. They've got their house and their job and going to school, and they've got plans for the future, for college.
Thank you, sir.
And there's like a touching scene with Laura and Will Munson's kid.
Do you want to listen?
He shares his music with her. So she's sort of getting a peek of, what would it be like to be normal and living like a normal family life.
You like it?
And the family eventually becomes the other mutants as they finally get to Canada. But they stop at this Munson's, and we see the contrast. And he's basically putting Professor X to bed. And Professor X says,
Logan, this is what life looks like. A home, people who love each other, safe place. You should take a moment and feel it. Yeah.
What Professor X is describing is that family life, which Logan doesn't have. He's an independent drifter who does not want to find himself attached to anybody, responsible for anybody. He's got like some barrier in between letting himself be cared for and to care for other people.
This is not the first time I've hurt people. Until today, I didn't know. You wouldn't tell me. So we just kept on running away from it. I think I finally understand you.
Basically what he's saying here is like, we can't be a family because of who we are. And the ironic twist is that that's not even Logan. That's Weapon X-24, and he immediately murders Professor X. And that scene is more tragic in that light. Professor X is like sort of trying to understand Logan, and his words are falling on deaf ears because this guy gives no F's. He's just like cold killer.
Soulless.
And then, the bomb drop for me is they finally get to Canada.
Hey, I got you here. That's all I signed up for.
He gets kind of mad and he falls to his default, which is, I don't want to take care of anybody and I don't want anybody to take care of me.
You got your Rebecca, your Delilah, your blah, 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 whatever. Everything you asked for, you've got it. And it is better this way. Because I suck at this. Bad shit happens to people I care about. You understand me?
Then I'll be fine.
This gets at the heart of the family concept, which is, yes, I mean, when you care about someone, you can get hurt, because that's what it means to care about somebody, is you can get hurt because you do care about them. And they, the scene cuts, but it's just such a bomb drop, I think, emotionally for anybody who has a kid or anybody, who can really relate to this idea of letting yourself, putting your guard down and letting yourself sort of get involved with other people in your life, family or whatever.
So this is what it feels like.
So that's when she calls him daddy. And he says, so this is what it feels like. And that's him experiencing what Professor X was going through on his deathbed, even though we didn't know it yet at the time. This is what it feels like to be part of a family. And it's the good part of it, not the hurt part. It's the good part.
Yeah.
And he's given up that lonerness, that loner shield or whatever, that layer of protection.
Right.
He's let that go. And you can see that he dies on that note of satisfaction. So that's my little family thing.
I love it, dude. I love it. But who has the adamantium claws?
Those are dangerous, man. Put those away.
Okay, Cleveland, not bad, but it's Hollywood's. Ow!
You all right?
Ow, dude.
What happened? Those are plastic, right?
Well, they're plastic, but they're still pointy as fuck. For me, the story of Logan, it tells the story of a man who tries to change but can't. And Logan is a hero. So while Logan tries to get out of the hero life,
Please! I'm in trouble! You're the only one that could help! Necesito un héroe!
Get the fuck away from me.
so over the course of the movie, he transforms back into the hero he always was because a man can't change.
Hey, Clyde, it's 2029.
One quick thing at the beginning when they show Logan's driver's license, when he's driving around at the beginning, it says expires 2029. To me, that's a little foreshadowing. He's going to die this year.
How about you blowing him to make him safe?
Fuck off, Logan.
Well, so you remember who I am now.
I always know who you are. It's just sometimes I don't recognize you.
Now, to me, this is evidence of, I know who you are. You're a hero. But sometimes you don't act like it. Then when Pierce finds him soon after, he says, has she found you?
Yeah. Gabriella?
I don't know any Gabriella, so get the fuck out of my car.
Now, he could have said, oh, yeah, they did. You know, let me help you find them to get you all out of my life. But he's Logan. So while he's not sticking his neck out for them, he's at least not like turning them in.
Right.
Then a little bit later, actually it's a little bit before this, but Logan is on his bed looking at his dog tags. These came with the claws that I got in the mail. But he's sitting there on the bed looking at that. In that moment, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a stretch. It's some kind of reckoning with his identity.
That was my favorite mug.
Stay out of my shit.
Something's happening to you, Logan. On the inside, you're sick. I can smell it.
Now, we find out later he is sick. It's the adamantium. Did I say that?
Adamantium, yeah.
Adamantium. That's what's killing him. Logan says later that's what he thinks is killing him. I think it's also a double meaning for this identity crisis that Logan is having. He's got two sides to him, and they're in conflict, and it's not good for him. Then, as you mentioned, Gabriella gives Logan cash to help.
They will be waiting. I know you're still good inside. I know you want to help us.
You don't know anything about me.
Please.
I know you're still good inside. Now, we've been watching this character. We know Logan. Of course, we kind of believe that too.
It's okay. Sit down.
We gotta go.
What? What's going on?
Stay here.
Where?
Don't move.
Where are we going? Hey, don't worry. He will be back for you. Logan, we mustn't forget about Laura.
It's not our problem.
So he is going to leave her there. I mean, we're 32 minutes into the film at this point. She's not our problem. And by the way, that scene in the compound where she fights the guys, it's from their point of view. She's shot as the scary one. You only see glimpses of her. She slides underneath the door. You see her behind a corner. It's mostly you're witnessing it through their eyes.
Gotcha.
Like Jaws, you barely see Jaws. So they do this sometimes where they reverse it. So the person you're rooting for is the threat. When they finally pin her down, Logan officially joins the fight. He just said 8 minutes ago, she's not our problem. This, I think, is the turn into Act 2. If the story is his return to being a hero, or the story is about a man who can't change, this is the turn into Act 2. I think he is now actively fighting and killing for the girl. However, during that fight, when he looks up and he sees some of these henchmen going towards the limo, he picks up and runs directly away from Laura. And there's a shot, big shot of her looking up, and then a shot of him running directly away from her. So the progression is slow. Now, is he going to come back? We don't necessarily know. But of course, Logan does come back, although he's very reluctant about this new situation. Now here's Pierce outright stating the story of the movie.
I'm not helping you.
Of course you'd say that. But I got a theory that people don't really change.
So it's just a way of getting what I think our theme or story is out. Another character just literally says it.
These are babies of mutantes muertos.
And he looks up and looks at her outside the gas station. And this is the hero, going to your family theme. It's the family that pulls the hero out of him. But that's a big moment. He's empathizing. He's thinking of someone other than himself. Then, when they watch the scene from Shane in the hotel room.
Man has to be what he is, Joni. Can't break the mold. I tried it, it didn't work for me. Right or wrong, it's a brand. A brand sticks.
That's the same with Logan. The stories are parallel. Shane tries to get out of the hero business in the movie Shane. Logan's trying to get out of the hero business in the movie Logan. But a man has to be what he is. And Logan is a hero.
There is a young mutant sitting in our car.
Yeah, I see.
And where we're taking her, there are others. Does that mean nothing to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it means nothing to me.
Now, do we believe him that it means nothing? No, we don't. He's stuck his neck out for this girl. He's fought for her. He's killed for her. But the transformation is not complete at that point. He's still putting at walls. Yeah, that means nothing to me. But dude, he's clearly come a pretty long way at this point. Here's another cool Laura POV or point of view shot. She's chained up watching Logan once again walk away from her and towards Charles, like in that opening fight scene.
Yeah.
Charles is still his priority. I think Charles represents getting on that boat. That is still his prevailing motivation.
I don't know what Charles put in your head, but I am not whatever it is you think I am, okay?
He says, I am not whatever it is you think I am. Now, to me, that's a hero. She's read the comic books. She thinks he's a hero. He's saying, I'm not a hero. So he's still fighting this thing. But he's going to prove very shortly how wrong he is. He is who Charles said he was to the girl. He is a hero, and he's about to give his life to do one last heroic act. But Logan isn't quite there yet. The story hasn't quite yet resolved itself.
Take it. She says it's yours. It's why you did it, right?
Yeah, well, look, I don't need it. You do, okay?
Suit yourself.
If indeed the story is Logan trying to change but can't, trying to not be a hero but gets pulled back in because he's a good person, just like Gabriella said, I know you're good. I know you want to help us. If that is the story, we should know if he's all in, if he's made that transformation back to being a hero. We should know if that's going to happen until the climax of the movie, before the final action. And you pointed out the movie when he injects himself with the serum. That to me is the moment he's all in. He's been told many times, several times, the audience has been told, you can't do too much of that stuff, it'll kill you. He does the whole thing. So he's risking his life right in that moment. That to me is the end of the question. He's back to being a hero. To me, when he injects the serum, he's all in, he's willing to give up his life to do this one last heroic act. So that story right there in my mind of a man trying to change but can't, a man trying to turn his back on being a hero but can't, he is a hero. That moment, he's back to being X-Men, Wolverine, hero. And here we see Logan in contrast to the first two POV shots where he's running away from Laura. Here he is running directly towards Laura. So our story is resolved. Now we're just watching the final action or plot play out. Then, as you mentioned at the funeral site, Laura repeats the lines of Shane. So if there's any question whether or not, what's important, that the Shane thing was important.
A man has to be what he is, Joey. Can't break them all.
Well, John, thanks for talking about Logan today, dude. It's been as usual, it's always fun chatting movies with you.
Go check out Shane.
Definitely check out Shane. Definitely check out Shane if you have not seen Shane. And I'll see you next time around on Hollywood versus Cleveland.
All right, buddy. Peace in the Middle East.
Peace. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hollywood vs. Cleveland is produced by Manning Road. Theme song by Brad Harper. Logo by Dakota Barty. Ow! Why does that keep happening? Oh, man. That's going to leave a mark. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Peace.